Do you know the 14 traits of successful chiropractors? We've interviewed some of the top chiropractors in the industry and have identified the common traits that they all share. Jump on over to www.chirobusinessmojo.com to get your free report today.
Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day.
Yes, it's true. I am Dr. Richard Day, and this is the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. Thanks to everyone who has been supporting the show. I really hope you're getting some valuable and meaningful things that you can apply to your practice and your life. My guest today is Dr. Bill Davis. He graduated from Los Angeles College of Chiropractic in 2005 and started his own practice in Vista, California. Over the next 3 years, he built a successful, all-cash upper cervical specific practice where he saw 100 to 125 patients per week and was collecting around $30,000 a month. In November 2011, Dr. Davis had a life-changing accident that ended his adjusting career and closed his practice. Despite his challenges, Dr. Davis started a new business focused on online marketing for the work he loves. Upper Cervical Marketing specializes in helping upper cervical practices grow through the power of the internet. His mission is to help sick and suffering people throughout the world find hope and healing through upper cervical care. Dr. Davis also volunteers as the Public Relations Chair for the Upper Cervical Council and the National Upper Cervical Chiropractic Association. Welcome, Dr. Bill Davis.
Well, thank you, Doc. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for joining us, and I welcome you to jump in and fill in any gaps in the bio that I may have glossed over when I introduced you.
I think you hit the high points for sure. I'm sure we'll talk more about it throughout the interview too.
Well, I do want to touch on your particular story and let us know a little bit more about the accident that changed your life and what led up to that and, kind of how your career was prior to that.
Sure. Yeah, about 5 years ago, I was, just rocking and rolling as far as my practice was concerned. It was growing and helping lots of people, all cash practice, upper cervical specific type practice, and about to hire an associate, and just really enjoying practice, and thought I was going to practice for 50 years, and but got out of the plans, and so I went out mountain biking one day with a group of friends, and flipped over on my mountain bike and broke my neck, and the rest is history. I was paralyzed at that point, and a variety of different things happened to my body, not working properly after that, and with my hands and legs and so forth. And so as a result of that, I was in the hospital for about 3 months, and by the time I got out, I had some friends that kind of filled in for me, but the practice without me being there, because it was so dependent on me in so many different ways, it just went away. I mean, 80% of the practice was gone by the time I got out of the hospital. So, it just that radically changed everything as far as my future and what I was going to do next.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the themes in this show that I talk about are how we never know what life is going to serve up for us despite our best laid plans. You never know how things are going to turn out and what God has planned for us, like you said. How did you cope with all of this?
It's, without a doubt, my faith is what has gotten me through. I mean, I have, incredible wife and kids and, 3 kids and everything. And, but God has really carried me through, carried our family through, provided for us. We never missed a payment, and had so many people come around us and help us out, and, from the chiropractic world and beyond. And, we just made it through. And more than anything is I needed to, establish a new purpose and a new why of why I existed and what I needed to do next. And that's, eventually that happened.
Well, that sounds like great advice for anyone who's had any sort of adversity in their life. And you certainly have had your fair share. So let's transition into that. Tell us about your new purpose.
Yeah. And so in 2013, so about three and a half years ago, I started a new business, and it's specifically for upper cervical chiropractors, which is my background and where my network is. And what I'm really passionate about and love is the upper cervical work. And So our company's called Upper Cervical Marketing, and we specialize in helping upper cervical practices spread the upper cervical message to as many people as possible throughout the world. And we do that through a variety of ways. But the main thing we offer is online marketing services for upper cervical practices. But we also have things like a podcast and blog posts and free resources and different things to help primarily about marketing, but all aspects of upper cervical practice management. And so, we've been very successful, really have grown, helped lots of doctors now. And, in the past 12 months, we've helped, we've helped doctors connect with over 4,000 new patients. And so we've just really, just been blessed. And our team, I have a fantastic team that, works with me to do this work for doctors. And it's just been a real great thing all the way around. I've been able to build a business that's even better than my practice at this point, and just continuing to grow. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, I was looking over your website and saw that you offer quite a bit. Can you take us through some of the specific things that you talk about and train on?
Sure. Yeah. And, as far as the educational type resources, we talk about all sorts of things when it comes to chiropractic practice in general, and specifically upper cervical. Everything from patient orientation classes and external marketing to professionals getting healthcare referrals, and a variety of different things when it comes to referrals and reactivations and so forth. And then, what we're really focused on, the biggest theme of our website and what we do for doctors and our done-for-you services is the online marketing piece and the online marketing component, because it's such an important piece for doctors today to be involved online and to be having a reach online that's ongoing.
Well, let's touch base on the online side of it for a minute. A lot of doctors find this challenging. Their expertise is obviously in adjusting and taking care of patients, and that's just a different skill set than, understanding social media and the internet. What advice do you have for docs who really aren't sure what to do with that?
It depends on the situation the doctor's in, but I would say, for a new doctor, they can do a lot of things themselves, especially when you have more time than money. But eventually, at a certain point, it doesn't make sense to do online marketing yourself. From what I've found, it's too time consuming, especially with an ever changing industry like online marketing that's literally changing on a daily basis. And so to try to keep up with all that while running a busy practice, it's just not feasible for most doctors. And that's why we offer done-for-you services, because doctors have a hard time keeping up with everything that is necessary to become successful online and generate consistent new patients. But I would say for all doctors, one of the most important things that you can be doing is be generating online reviews, having strategies in place to consistently generate reviews on Google, on Yelp, depending on your market, especially if you're in large markets. But Google, for sure, you want to be generating Google reviews consistently. And then the other thing is generating video testimonials for your practice. Written testimonials are really of limited value today. But if you can get video testimonials and you can focus on getting reviews on Google and other places, that really will pay off for now and for years and years to come, especially if you commit to that as part of your culture.
Well, I'm pretty familiar with how the Google reviews work, and I've talked to other docs who some are better than others at getting them. How about Yelp? Is that something you have to pay to be part of, or is that a review service that, patients would use just like Google reviews?
Yelp, yes, you can definitely get reviews on there without having to pay for it or anything. It does, unfortunately, Yelp has some unscrupulous practices sometimes when it comes to the way that they will extort businesses. And so some doctors are very frustrated with Yelp and the fact that they feel like they're not, basically their filtering processes. Sometimes their filtering process is such that they will filter all the good reviews and leave all the bad ones, and unless you pay them for some advertising, it seems. And, so there's some struggles with that, but Yelp is a player, and it's the kind of thing you kind of have to just deal with, especially if you're in competitive markets. So, I mean, if you're in San Francisco where Yelp started, or you're in San Diego or Los Angeles or Chicago or New York or so forth, these big, busy markets, Yelp, Seattle is another one. Yelp is very important. And one of the ways that you can determine whether or not it is important in your market is just Google your name. So, Dr. John Smith, San Diego, California, see what comes up. And, the first thing that comes up should be your website, but you want to see what the next few listings are there. And if Yelp comes up as one of those first few, then you probably should be spending some time focusing on getting your patients to give you some reviews on Yelp. There are some ways that you can help improve the likelihood that the reviews that your patients give on Yelp will actually stay there, because that's one of the big concerns that doctors have, is that the filtering process with Yelp is very restrictive. And so if you just have a patient go on and give you a review on Yelp and they've never ever given a review on Yelp before, it's likely that review is not going to show up for your business. It's going to be filtered and hidden away. And so you want to make sure that if you have a patient that's going to give you a review on Yelp and they've never given a review on Yelp before, that you have them go review a few other businesses first. So go review their mechanic and go review their favorite restaurant. And, we recommend at least 2-3 other businesses before they go review you. And if they do that, then they're likely that review will stick and stay on Yelp.
Well, thanks for that information. Yelp is one of those ones that I'm not so sure of, and doctors have asked me, and I'm not so sure either. So that's some great advice for anyone out there who is in a market or a city where they're dealing with Yelp. Well, let me ask you this. You've helped a lot of upper cervical docs. What are some of the challenges specific to upper cervical marketing?
I think some of the challenges are just the differences with markets. And that's something that we really worked on in the past 3.5 years, is adapting our programs to different markets. And so when we first came out, we kind of just ran the same program everywhere. And we found that that's just not really the way that it works. It's not, you can't expect to have the same budget and run the same program everywhere and expect the same results, right? So in one market where you have, like for instance, I live near San Diego. San Diego is a very highly competitive market, and you can't run the same program for online marketing in that area versus, say, Huxley, Iowa, or something. That's 3,000 people, and expect the same results. And so one of the things that really have talked with doctors about is making sure you have realistic expectations of the budget that's necessary to make an impact in your community, right? So online marketing can work anywhere, right? That's something that I've no doubt about that. I've seen online marketing approaches work well in large markets, medium-sized markets, small markets. But you have to have the right strategy in place, and you have to have a reasonable budget to connect with that strategy so you can get consistent new patients from the internet and get the return on investment that you're looking for.
Well, one of the things you talk about is the upper cervical management. I bet the UCM, am I getting that right? Upper cervical management?
Upper cervical marketing.
Marketing lead generation machine. So take us through some of the steps. I assume social media is one of those. What are some of the other steps?
So our lead generation machine, or our system, it's a comprehensive program. And so if a doctor's looking for a way that they can just pass off all these online marketing tasks to a company that basically becomes their online marketing department, then that's where that would be a really effective thing for them. And so it essentially is everything that you need to be successful online. So that would be social media. That would be an online review generator, which helps to generate reviews consistently. That's going to be Facebook ads and other types of ads depending on the market, Google AdWords and so forth. It's going to be search engine optimization. It's going to be website conversion optimization so that when people get to your website, they actually do what you want them to do, which is schedule an appointment or call your office. It's going to be video, and the importance of video is huge today. Facebook recently, one of Facebook's vice presidents said that in 5 years, they anticipate that Facebook is going to be almost completely video. And so keeping up with the times and making sure that we're adapting to that, we're launching a new version of our system, a 3.0 version, which is going to be much more heavily dependent on video, producing video content, and getting that out for our clients on social media and search engines and everything. And so yeah, I mean, as far as the lead generation machine, it's having all of those different pieces in place and cranking together and feeding into each other so that you can get consistent leads and new patients from the internet.
Well, definitely in my experience, it's more than just a website. And without getting too techie, maybe take us through why that's so important. You know, in the old days, when I say old days, you know, maybe 10 years ago, if you had a website that was good enough and maybe a Facebook, how is that all interconnected and working now? I'm not sure if everyone who's practicing, not just upper cervical docs, but chiros in general, really understand that. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's what we always say is that the website itself is only about 10% of the story when it comes to online marketing. And so 10%. So you can have a website, you can have the best website in the area, and it can be completely optimized, and you know, it could be a great website, but 10% of what you actually need. And so there's so much more to online marketing than just a website in today's world. And like you said, you know, 10 years ago, if you had a website, you were way ahead of the game. But now everyone has a website, and there's a reason why doctors that are really successful online have a lot more than a website, right? So when it comes to what else you need, you definitely need social media profiles, right? You need to be on Facebook. You need to be on Google Plus. You need to have a YouTube channel. You need to have, you know, some of these key social media profiles and pages set up for your business. You also need to make sure you have your Google local listing claimed. And so what that means is when you search, again, if you do that, which I highly recommend, search for your name and your city, and then also search for your business name and your city. See what comes up. See what kind of online reputation you have out there right now. And when you do that, you can look at that listing that comes up on the right-hand side of the page, which is going to be a box that will say your practice name or your name. And you can see whether or not your listing is actually claimed. It'll say, if it's not claimed, then it'll say, claim this listing, or do you own this business, type of thing. And so that's another piece. You want to make sure you own your own listing and that no one else can come along and take that from you. And also you want to make sure that if anything ever happens, if they have incorrect information, for instance, that you can make those changes to it. And so those are some of the basics. And then, like I said, videos is crucial. Getting those video testimonials, getting those doctor-generated videos and so forth, are all important pieces of that, you know, of that online marketing puzzle. So what are some of the packages, the offerings that you have at Upper Cervical Marketing? Is it a subscription based, or is it, you pay for different services? How does that work? Yeah. So we have a system we call our Upper Cervical Marketing System. And that includes a lead generation program that's going to be specific to the market that you're in, right? So we have a lead generation program for a small market, for a medium-sized market, and for a large competitive market. And then along with that, if necessary, we also have a website, upper cervical specific website that we can create for you that connects into our
our system, or we might be able to use your website depending on the situation. And then the last piece of our system is what's called a whiteboard video, which you may have seen these before. They're animated videos of someone like writing on a whiteboard. They're fast moving. They're fantastic for social media. And that's that third piece of the system. Now you can purchase any of those three things individually. You could purchase the lead generation program by itself. You could purchase a website by itself or a whiteboard video by itself. But the full system is all three of those pieces rocking together in order to get the great results.
Well, that's great. We're going to include links to your website and have some of those examples for people to check out if they would like to. One of the things that we do on this show is we love to provide some actionable content for listeners. So do you have a single piece of advice or a series of action steps for both the new doc and the established doc who's maybe stuck and looking to take his practice in a different direction?
From an online marketing perspective or just in general?
Yeah, in general, since your niche is online marketing and you've covered some of the basics, if there's nothing left, talk about something in general. And if you have some other things you want to throw out there that are more specific online, go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. For a new doc, what I always recommend is that you get mentors. For new doctors, I highly recommend an associate position. If you can go get an associate position with a doctor who does what you want to do, the type of practice you want to have, the type of success you want to have in practice, do that, because you'll advance your knowledge and your understanding and the speed with which you can achieve the things you want to achieve much faster, right? And so I highly recommend a mentor, associate position for brand new doctors coming out of school. And then for established doctors, if you're looking to take your practice to another level, one of the things that has been very helpful and important for me is having good mentors, coaches, consultants. Podcasts like this one can be invaluable when it comes to helping you to reach new levels in your practice. And so continuing to advance forward in your understanding, learning, and reading, and all those types of things is crucial. And then from an online marketing perspective, like I said, I would recommend both new doctors and established doctors to focus on their online reputation. Look online, see what's out there for you. Do you have bad reviews? Do you have no reviews? That's a great place to start, is focusing on getting those reviews on Google and so forth, and then also getting those video testimonials, both for new and established doctors. That will help your practice.
Well, I want to shift and talk about success in general. There's so much to be learned from things that we do, our own successes, but oftentimes we learn a lot more from failures or obstacles we've overcome. You've had your fair share of those, to be sure. When you think of the word successful, who do you think of and why?
When I think of successful, I think of Jesus. Actually, I think of, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is again, my faith is very important to me, and it's really what defines me in so many different ways. And so I think, the most successful person that's ever lived has been Jesus, and you can learn so much from his life and what he did and how he lived. And so, that's what jumps out to me.
Well, do you have any daily rituals, habits, affirmations, or anything like that you do every day that help you be more successful?
Absolutely. I really believe in a morning routine of having certain things that you do every day to kind of set the tone for your day. And so for me, that's, I wake up before anybody else, and I get into the Bible. I read the Bible and I pray, and then by that time, then I spend some time with my wife. I spend some time with my kids, and that really just helps me establish my why and why I'm doing what I'm doing today. What's it all about? And then from there, once I have that firmly in place, then I can really get into my work and enjoy it, and also be real successful in it.
Yeah, and I want to touch on something that you've mentioned a couple of times, and that is the why. I think that's so important for people if they're starting out, maybe they don't know the why yet, and if they're stuck, maybe they lost the why, and they need to stop and figure out what the why is now. Is that something you would agree with?
Absolutely. There's Simon Sinek is a great author who writes on this subject. He talks about the power of why, and so frequently we get caught up in the what and the how, and we forget the why. And when we can get focused on that why of, so why are you a chiropractor? Why do you have a chiropractic practice? Why did you go to school to begin with? Why do you want to be successful in practice? What's the point of that? And so when you can establish your whys and you can get them very crystal clear of what it's all about that you're doing every day, like why do you do that? Why do you talk about that in your consultation? Why do you talk about those things during your visits with your existing patients? When you can get crystal clear on your why and then boil that down into different areas of your life, you'll get so much more clarity when it comes to the what and the how.
Well, you mentioned a book already. Do you have any other favorite books you want to share or mention?
Oh, I have so many. Yeah. I mean, I tell my team all the time, that leaders are readers. And I firmly believe that if you're going to be the same person you were today that you are in a year, the only difference is going to be what the books you read and the people that you meet and associate with. And so I highly recommend reading. I've got a ton of different books that I love, but one of the ones that I've found the most value from and that I really enjoy is a book called Entree Leadership by Dave Ramsey. And it's just packed full of good stuff, and I'd highly recommend that one. But I mean, I could talk all day about all the books that I love.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's so many to choose from, and I get something different out of each one. And sometimes even if it's the same, it's nice to hear it again. Absolutely.
Well,
what's the best business advice you've ever received?
The best business advice I think I've ever received is the same advice I gave earlier in this podcast, and that's to have mentors, and to throughout my chiropractic practice life and now in my online marketing agency life, I have always had coaches and consultants and people who know how to do things that I don't know how to do, and saying that that's okay. You don't have to know everything, but there are people out there that know things that you don't know how to do. And so for me, the importance of having mentors and having people that you can ask questions to and that have experiences that you don't have, and especially those that want to go someplace you want to go with your business or your life, can be, you can't count how important that is when it comes to success in practice and in life.
Well, what's the best way for people to contact you and find out more about your business and you?
The best way is just uppercervicalmarketing.com. That's where you're going to be able to get connected with all of our content. We have a podcast that really is good for anyone, whether you're an upper cervical chiropractor or not. It's packed full of we interview highly successful doctors on there that you're going to learn from, no matter what the technique is that you use. Plus, we've got a great blog on there with tons of articles and free resources and so forth. And so, uppercervicalmarketing.com is ideal. And that's also where you can find out more about our services. If you're an upper cervical doctor, or you're, new in practice or been in practice for 30 years, there are things that we can do to help you and help you be more successful and take your practice to another level.
Well, Dr. Bill Davis, this has been a great interview. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. It's so inspirational, and thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate your time today, and go out and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast at www.chirobusinessmojo.com.